Do you think that they should make DNA testing mandatory anytime a woman's pregnant and giving birth? Should it be DNA testing like the father is or that the guy is the actual father? Or
Yeah.
you think they should make that mandatory?
Yeah.
I seen a statistic, and so I was scrolling through online, and it's quite common that actually in Jamaica there was a DNA testing facility. They released the information that 70% of mothers that gave birth, 70%, that wasn't the actual father. Welcome to Adults Say the Wildest Things. Your boy Klutch.
You know what it is?
You already know. So, yeah, we were talking, I guess, a few days ago, and actually there's a situation where, you know, I know somebody that went on a date, and
would you look at that? $43. Who is gonna pay that $43? Are you coming over after this?
No.
All right. Well, let's just split that. Are you paying cash or card?
What do you mean? I'm not paying.
It was 21, and you had a drink, $2.89. Just give me 23, and we straight.
a girl asked him out. Now, do you think that a girl should pay for a date if she asks him out?
You see, we're in different times now. Like, it's funny to sit there and say, like, if you're going traditional, then no. You know what I mean? And we understand what traditional is basically chivalry to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Chivalry's dead. Like, that's out the window now. So, with the equal rights, I'd understand where dudes would come up and say, yo, listen, bro, like, you guys are gonna have to pay. But I think it just feels, I don't know, I guess people are still usually into tradition-wise, and women understand that aspect. Like, men want something from you, so in order to get something from you, they're liable to do anything, almost anything to want to get it.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely different times. I think, honestly, if people want to be equal, I think the girl should pay. Personally, for me, I would pay, but I guess if I was to offer to take her out, then I'd be more inclined to pay. But if she offers me to go out, especially if she wanted me to go to, like, say, Salt Bay's restaurant, like something expensive, and then she's looking at me to pay, I'm like, yo, you can't even afford to, buy socks, and you want me to come on here and pay for Salt Bay's steak? Like,
yeah, definitely. If it's a situation to a point where it's out of your price range and things like that, then you know what I mean. Then I don't think, depending on what your relationship is, if you got it, then you know what I mean. There's not a problem with it. But I think also at the same time, now with the days and when everything's equal, if a girl does do that, you know what I mean, I don't know how most guys feel. I think most guys still feel like they want to pay, but they shouldn't be wrong either way. If you're 50-50 now, like, we're equal.
So you know the saying, it ain't tricking if you got it, right? When is it considered tricking if you, like, say you want to take a girl to an expensive restaurant just because, not to really impress her, but you just kind of want to show her that, like, yo, I really like you, et cetera, et cetera. Is that tricking, or like how?
Yeah, it's tricky, but at the same time, yeah, it's tricky. But I think at the same time now, with everything, the way if men are after one thing. If men are going to buy something, men want something from you. You know what I mean? It's a situation to a point where you understand what it is. And I think a female understands what they want. You know what I mean? So it's depending how you take the information and how you go it. But I think personally, if a guy is willing to do certain things, he's gonna buy, he's gonna do certain things, then a girl has to know in the back of your head, like, you can't just sit there and accept it. You have to know what comes with it. That's why most relationships in the beginning are lies. Yeah. Because everybody's trying to put their best foot forward. You don't look the same way you look at home. You don't act the same way. You don't, you know what I mean? So when you want something, you go out to go get it. And when you go out to go get it, you might deceive a little bit. But there's nothing wrong with it. I just think you're putting your best foot forward. You're advertising yourself to whatever it is. But I think after a certain amount of time, that comes off. And then you figure, you know what I mean? And then that's where you realize, okay, am I gonna pay for this? Am I paying for that? You know what I mean? You figure the things out to where you go.
Yes, I try to figure that out because sometimes, like, you gotta figure out a balance. Like for me, so one time I was dating this one girl, and it was her birthday, and I think you were there that one time. It was me, you, and Bull, and we went to a place, and we went to the mall. And I bought the Michael Kors bag.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and that was pretty expensive.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, like, keep it on you. Do you think that's tricking?
Nah, because I think the difference is with that situation was
it was a gift.
It was a gift. No, it wasn't a gift. If it was somebody you met like a couple of days, I'd be like, oh, yeah, you're bugging with that situation. But you knew of her for a bit, so it was understandable to whatever it was. You know what I mean? Whatever she did, however, in some way in your eyes, she earned that joint. You know what I mean? It's a situation where you felt you're okay giving it to her without being used, or you're doing anything else. She would appreciate the gift. So I think in that situation is different. But I think if you're just using your money to get sex, then that's what it is there.
So basically, it's not tricking depending on how long you've known the person.
Depending on the relationship. I think it's just depending on the relationship. But I don't think it's a time per se. I just think if you understand a person, you're cool with that person. You're a person that's been through some stuff. You're getting, you know what I mean? Like to give a person a gift, say on a birthday, that's 365 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or how long you ever met the person you're going through day in to day out, so you understand it. Now you meet somebody a week, and then the next time you're buying bags and you're buying this, or then you deserve to get what you get. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
And sometimes people have no game, so that they feel like that's the only way to.
That's the only way to conversate. Yeah, you know what I mean. And a girl or a guy is gonna get that kind of. They're gonna take the leeway all the time. Like, why am I gonna not take the gifts? So
if a girl, would you allow a girl to splurge on you? Like if she was to trick on you? Like let's say you weren't, in your situation.
I can't do it. I can't. You know what? It's depending on my situation.
Yeah.
Because I'll keep it 1,000. If you're the bomb and you in the gutter and your situation is different, and you have to, you know what I mean, survival, then I've seen survival. I've seen survival before. And if you know what I mean, sometimes you got to do bad to get what you got to do. But if you're in a situation where you don't need it and you're doing it, then that's more of a you thing.
Yeah, because I know guys that take money out, get gifts and stuff like that. But
I've seen both sides of it. You know what I mean?
But if it's equality, then it should be okay for her to give him. But then society will call the dude a bum or a lame. But I'm like, well, if you guys want equality, let her splurge on the dude.
I'll be honest with you. Right now, to be a girl, it's not. I guess in the world we're living in right now, it's kind of tough. But I think if you rather prefer to be a girl or a guy, the benefits are better to a girl right now. Yeah. Like if you're a girl right now in this day and age, you know what I mean. It's your world right now. You know what I mean. You get to do certain things that right now it's not as even as it used to be, or it never was really even, to be honest with you. But I think now it's like it's getting there, and I think with the times that even it is, I think because when you put women and men, or men and men, or women together, and you're even, you're gonna butt a lot of heads. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be a bumpy ride to see who's what, and you gotta find the right person for you.
Yeah. I actually have another question. So, if you ever been in a situation or know of somebody that was dating a side piece, right?
Baby, I love you.
I love you too.
You wanna go swimming?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What the? Why are you always recording me?
Because I want to post it on TikTok.
No, now my homies are gonna think I'm sweet.
You are sweet.
I'm sweet?
You are sweet.
We're not going swimming no more.
How do you not, like, is it okay to like take pictures with your side piece? Like if you, if you know somebody, like, do you think that, because sometimes I know people that would like, or I know of guys that might be with a girl and she might get him on camera or sneak a pic, or when he's asleep, take a picture of him and stuff like that. Like, how do you navigate around that? Like, I mean,
I think honestly, in this day and age with the technology, I don't even see why.
Yeah,
like I understand, like everybody has needs, you're finding yourself and you figure things out. But at this day and age, it doesn't make any sense to sit here and do it, because you know it's coming out. If you do anything with side, if you have multiple people you're doing anything else, at some point, I don't care how good you are, it's coming out to whatever it is. So you might as well just be honest and flag. If it's sex you want, just say it. Nowadays, like I said, if we're almost even to a certain degree, I think the sex conversation should just be, exactly what people want. Like if you're attracted to somebody and you see somebody, I think that's based on your situation. You have a conversation with them. I don't see why. Sex is, to me, I think sex is becoming too much of a big of a deal. You know what I mean? So I think it's just, as an adult, you want sex. You know what I mean? It's just, if you're two single people, like, what are you holding for?
So what if, what if it wasn't a side piece? It was a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, And do you think it'd be wise to promote your relationship on social media
I don't.
for people to have an opinion, or you think you should just keep it private within?
I think the more people in your relationships is a recipe for disaster. You know what I mean? There's too much hens in the house. They got too much voices. You got too much people in your situation. So I would advise no social media, but I can't tell everybody how to do it because everybody, if you've grown up with social media, then you understand what it is. But I personally don't use it. I don't like it. I have nothing to do with it because I understand the advantages, but there's a lot more disadvantages what comes with it, man. And kids, like if you have kids and you have a family, that can ruin a happy home on some speculation stuff, like people seeing something that they don't understand, or I could be eating with my sister. Oh, he's on a date, this, that, and that goes to post, and that's also, you know what I mean? I ain't got no time for none of miscommunication. So it seems like there's a lot of miscommunication internet-wise, and that's why I wouldn't.
I agree, and I think too many opinions, especially if your wife or your girlfriend or whomever goes on social media and puts out her grievances online, and now you got girls who are single or giving her advice like, oh, leave him, he's a lame, or this and that, and they don't even know how to cultivate a healthy relationship, but they trying to tell her how to do it. And it's like, this is why I don't really agree with posting your relationship too much on social media. And I'll give you an example. If, say you're dating a girl, right? And you post her on Facebook and say, hey, look, everyone, this is my girl. Then let's say a week, 3 months or later, you guys split. Then you go on another date, you meet a new girl. You're like, okay, she's the one. You post her. Wash, rinse, and repeat. The same thing keeps happening. You keep posting these different girls. Now, when you actually finally meet the one that you want to be with and you post her, everyone's like, oh, she ain't gonna be around and she's just another. So it almost looks tacky, like you're inviting people into your house, into your life. They're seeing everything what's going on, and then it's like, well, we can't know if this girl we should take serious or if she gonna be around because you keep posting all these different girls.
Yeah.
But now if you're somebody who doesn't post a lot on Facebook or any social media, you finally meet the one girl and then you finally post her. People know, oh, this is real. He never does this. Like, this is the one.
That's very true. I think the thing with social media is there's a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah.
So if you're describing happiness, not a lot of people want to share your happiness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's best you just keep it private. I think it's best you just keep it private. If you want a long-lasting relationship, I'm not saying you can't use social media. Use social media for your own liking, your own pictures and everything else, but keep your kids and your family out of it because the wrong person, the wrong influence can go to thing in, and that's easily to just break up a happy home on some speculation stuff. You know what I mean?
So do you think, like, if the family, or I guess the girlfriend's family, do you think that she should take advice from her father or the mother, or should she go to the boyfriend or the husband directly for advice on their relationship? Because we all need someone to talk to at some point. So
yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I think you learn from your parents, you learn from what they did right and what they did wrong, and you try to take the positives and you leave the negatives, and you don't transfer the negatives. But you have to understand what your parents went through. You have to have conversations with your parents and to figure it out. And it's the same thing when you have a kid. It's gonna be the same thing where the kid, you know what I mean? We don't know everything. If you have a kid, you don't know everything. You kind of figure it out as you go. But the kid's gonna take the positives from you, just as long as the communication is there. I think it's, you know what I mean? It's pretty easy.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's kind of tough. I mean, if I'm okay, say I'm with somebody and she's going to say her mother for advice, and then the mother's saying some things based on what she's saying, because sometimes women can have this warped sense of reality sometimes. I don't want to sound misogynistic, but they can have, a little delusion sometimes, and sometimes they might perceive a situation differently. And then so it's almost like broken telephone. So like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, but say if you always leave the toilet seat up, but then she'll add, well, he leaves the toilet seat up, plus there's a ring of pee around the toilet. And then she'll convey that message to the mother, and then the mother will be like, okay, well, do this and that. Whereas that wasn't really the situation. Maybe there was like rust and she thought it was pee.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things where that, I think mostly for me, I think going to your partner directly in a relationship would be the best decision to do. But then how do you go to your partner if you're not,
See, this is the thing with me and the partner situation is, if it's real,
Yeah.
then there's no uncomfortability. Like, if you're with somebody for a certain amount of years, the ins and outs, that person should know you to what it is, to understand to what it is. If you're going outside of the relationship to get information to get the relationship better, who's more better to know than the person you're singing beside? Do you understand? So if it's your own mindset. If you're like, okay, well, I don't want him judging me, or I don't want him doing this, so I'm gonna go outside, and then that outside information is gonna make the relationship better. But it's almost impossible because they're not in the relationship. So my relationship can't be somebody else's relationship on what they did, because my personality and their personality might not be the same. So the same actions won't work. You know what I mean? So constant communication of how you feel. The thing with females and males is it's a disconnect between feelings and, I would say, masculinity, kind of to a certain degree, because we don't really go that deep into thought. It's really shallow with men. It's like, okay, this is what it is. This is how you deal with a situation. But a female, I've learned, they think, and it is their feelings.
Yes.
Some feelings dictate their emotions. Some feelings situation is, so you have to learn how to relate and talk. But if a person does not come to you and talk all the time, then it's just like you're not. It's almost like a fake situation. You know what I mean? Because when the times get rough and rougher, you got to know. It's almost like playing a basketball with a partner. If we practice every day and I know I'm running the lane, you're on over there, I can throw a no look because I know you're there. That's the work we put in, you know what I mean, to get to where you want to get to. But you have some players that just don't have that agenda. It's like, yo, now I'm stopping at the 3-point line because I want to shoot. Meanwhile, you're thinking they're going for a layup because you guys have practiced, but you guys don't talk, you don't communicate, you don't figure things out, right? So if you're not on the same page, it makes it harder. And if you have your own, basically saying you're a me person in a relationship, it usually doesn't work.
So what would you say if the partner was afraid of the other partner? Not in afraid like they're gonna get beat up, but they're just afraid to express themselves. Maybe that's how they grew up. They're not very, they don't have the gift of gab.
See, that too, but I think that the experience that you get through with the relationship, if you're with somebody for say 5-6 years, in those 5-6 years, there should not, at some point the wall comes down of that, the being fear. There's nothing that's gonna happen in a fear situation. You know? If you understand your partner day in and day out, you know what kind of ticks, you know, kind of gets them mad, you know. But you just have a conversation, and if you're making a judgment before you do something, that's actually the worst thing, because that's basically not communicating. You're predicting what's gonna happen without not giving the person a chance. You know what I mean? And when you do that, there's too much entities pulling back and forth, and now you clash.
Yeah.
So why don't you say, well, I didn't mean this and this is it. Well, if I talked and figured things out, it's not emotional, it's not personal. It's together. It's like, that's what I'm saying. And the hardest thing now is to find somebody and you guys are a team. An actual team. Like you know exactly what it is. It's for the kid, it's for the benefit. A lot of people are still trying to figure themselves out and trying to do different things, so it makes it a little harder.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. When you put it that way, it really does.
So
I actually have, okay, I'll give you one last topic, or I want your thoughts on this. Do you think that they should make DNA testing mandatory anytime a woman's pregnant and giving birth? Should it be DNA testing like the father is or that the guy is the actual father, or
yeah.
you think they should make that mandatory?
Yeah.
I seen a statistic, and so I was scrolling through online, and it's quite common that actually in Jamaica there was a DNA testing facility. They released the information that 70% of mothers that gave birth, 70%, that wasn't the actual father, and they claims. And I was telling, it's like, Grandma, I gotta expose you real quick. I was telling my grandma that, and she's like, me not believe that, you know.
That's a high.
But yeah, it's actually really bad, especially in North America, Canada, US.
That's a high.
There's a lot of that going on where women are saying, yeah, that's the father, and he's not. And some guys would raise a child to like 6, 8, 10, and the child's not there. So they're actually, I don't know if they're looking to it or they will, but do you think that'd be a good thing for society if they make that mandatory?
Yeah, definitely. It's not even for the fact, just for that in general, because like culturally, I know Jamaica's rough. Like if you're from Jamaica, you guys know exactly
the
what
culture's sexual.
Yeah,
dancing,
so it's like the men and women are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
when it comes to sexuality. You know what I mean? So if you're on the same lane, you see how men behave with sex. Well, if the women behave with sex, then you see what Jamaica's all about. So it kind of puts it in. If you're a place like here per se, it's not gonna be. I don't know, but it's maybe you might get somebody in a situation to like that. But I don't think it's gonna be like mandatory. You get a DNA testing, and then again, the looks of the kid is gonna really tell you what it is in a certain situation is. Not all the time.
Yeah,
not all the time. Like I personally, if you're not with that person, and you have suspicions. If you have any suspicions, I guess you do so. But if you're not with that person and you have a kid, then yeah, I think you should just risk for the safe causes just to make sure it is what it is.
That's tough though, because guys are like, I don't want to get her mad, and you know how women already have power in the court system, so they can leverage that child against him, and like, you know.
But if they make it legal, or if it's something that you should do, then it's out of the dude's hands. You see what I'm saying? You just basically, if it's mandatory situation, then it's out of a dude's hands, and it's like you can get mad at the situation is, but
that's why I think it's good, because when a woman births a child, she's carrying that child for 9 months, so she knows it's hers.
Yeah.
And I mean, a guy doesn't know. Like he's not gonna know that the child is if because it's not growing in his body. So sometimes girl will have like a wild stage, and they might sleep with like 3, 4, 5 guys in 1 week. You're not gonna know.
You know what it is with that too is we don't know each other when we sleep with each other nowadays. Like remember I said in the beginning, most relationships are lies. So people are lying, and you really don't know the person you're really sleeping with. Yeah. So when you don't know the person you're sleeping with, those things can happen. But if you pay attention to the person you're sleeping with, then you understand, you know the game. Like you understand that you're not around, you're doing things, you're moving. When you're doing stuff like that, then yeah, it's mandatory to get a test because you're not all the time is not being spent. But when you spend all the time with somebody, now you know their mannerisms, you know how they move, so anything different, it's gonna trigger you to say, okay, this is different. This is what's going on. This is and you can question into what you're doing. But if you're just single and you guys have sex one time, meet, DNA all day. You got it, because you never know what's gonna happen, right? So, and then nowadays, it depends who has financial, because it's financial purposes. That's really what it comes down. A kid is financial. Everything's financial. You know what I mean? So,
I think it's a problem. I think paternity fraud is a real thing. I think there's a lot of people that are hustling the system, trying to get child support, stuff like that.
You know, I think it's just people. I always say that because if men were in the opposite situation, we do the same thing.
We do the same thing.
It's just it's where your obligations. You're only as good as your options. Really, what it is. You know what I mean? So
anybody with the power would misuse it. Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So I don't think it just so happens that a female can have a child and a male can't. But if it was the other way around, you better believe. Yeah, you best believe people
use it as a pawn.
Yeah, oh yeah. So it's a thing where, and then now it's the way the rules are with like weddings and like marriages and stuff like that in general. So yeah, it benefits the woman. You know what I mean? If you're in a situation where you're a man and you get in a relationship or you're a common law or anything else, yeah, buddy. Yeah.
They're looking at changing that, because after the Roe v. Wade thing, they're talking about we might look at the family court system. It's not really
the Johnny Depp.
There's a lot of things going on with that. But anyways, that's pretty much what I think it might happen. Though I think that eventually, like with the Andrew Tate and everything, I think a lot of guys are really catching on to how society is and how it's unfair to men. So I think eventually, maybe in 10 years, 20 years, they might make things evened out with the family courts. But I don't know, like even for a guy, if he wants rights, like say I go out, I meet a girl, it was a one night stand, I smash, she's pregnant. She basically has sole custody of the kid. I gotta beg her to see the kid and all this stuff like that. And so the only way to get 50-50 is we have to be married and then divorced, and then I automatically, I don't have to go to the courts or anything. So that's why it's kind of like not really fair. It should automatically be, well, it's half your DNA, it's half, but that's why I think the mandatory DNA is important, because then that can tie into, okay, that is the father, okay, and if it's 50-50, then why is he paying all the money to her if it's 50-50?
Yeah, like, I think what happens is old society and new society overlapped. And it's just like...
And the change was quick.
It was changed, but it's actually still the old rules, new players. And, and with the new players are changing the game by their old rules, so they're using it to their advantage or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to say it's all women. We're not women bashing everybody, but A lot of society, when you're dealing with relationships now, you see that younger kids they're at odds. You know what I mean? They're figuring out, and then what they see is like, can I use this? Can I get this? Can I get on somebody for a like or something? It's hard to know now if that person you're meeting is authentic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to really question on what you're doing. If you're financially stable, you have to question everything before you go head in. Because once sex goes in, sex changes everything. Yeah. People's mind can't handle it. You know what I mean? People get attracted to it. People get stalking is true to it. So it's a lot of things that go into it. So I think now I know, bro, it's kind of hard for dudes, but you can't think with your dick.
Yeah, discipline.
Yeah, you gotta have dick discipline, bro.
Yeah,
that's the only way it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Adults say the wildest things, and we'll be back with another video.
Yes, sir.
Peace.